Hello, my name is Jeff Rolka. I want to thank you for checking out my video. This is a quick tip on how to sing that quote-unquote problem high note in a song that you're working on. And I've got a process for you that I'm going to show you and walk you through. It's the way that I work on integrating notes that are high for a given range into a song so that you can incorporate it into the music. Thank you if you've chosen to subscribe. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, I hope you'll do so now. There are many other ways to support this channel, including Patreon, where you can get transcripts and these PDFs that I use to plan the lessons, and a lot of other things too. There's like affiliate links and stuff like that, and as well, donations are always accepted and greatly appreciated. All that's in the description. So there's a process that I use to help vocalists get those high notes. Admittedly, there are quite a few steps to it. You won't have to do all of the steps after you've done the whole process a couple of times. In other words, the practice or the technique of singing high notes is built into this process. And so once you've worked your way through this a couple times on songs, then it'll get easier and easier and faster. So first of all, it's important to know our melody. The melody that I'm using here today is a song I was working on not too long ago, and the melody in question the tricky thing about this one is it kind of sits just right at the secondo passaggio for me, and so that makes it more challenging. It's not necessarily that it's just so high, it's that it crosses up across the secondo passaggio to the cricothyroid dominant singing voice or head voice, and it goes back to the chest voice and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, step one is to make sure that you're practicing your vocalizations. Do your daily practice, knowing that you have to sing, in this case it's G4, and you want to be able to do a major second above that. So when you're doing your vocalizations, make sure you're vocalizing to an A natural in this case. Bottom line, major second above the highest note that is in the piece. Part two of that vocalization is to incorporate the vowel from the word. So the note there, the G, is on the word road, an O. So I want to get the O in the part of my vocalization that goes up to that A natural. So I might do something like or if I really want to challenge myself, I'll do a transition up there too. All of that's good practice, and really you can do as much of that kind of stuff as you want to just make your technique that much better. You know, you can hardly do too much of that. Now, step two is really important because step two is what we're going to come back to in step three if we have problems. So step two, learn the melody and specifically transpose it to a key that is easy for you, that doesn't go across the registration event, all that kind of stuff. So for example, this gives me a chance to work through the intervals. There's a skip of a major sixth in this. Practicing that major sixth in an easier part of my range helps me get my ear on that interval, so I really internalize the feeling of singing that interval. And then when I get to step three, I can start to move that up into the area, the performance key that it's in, that's going to go back and forth across my secondo passaggio, my break, if you will. So I learn my melody there. Just to really internalize that melody. And then I move myself back to my performance key. I start here with the lip trill. making note of when I am in my cricothyroid dominant singing voice or head voice, and where I'm transitioning back. Are there little blips and blops that I'm getting into? Am I having any issues with any of that? If I'm successful, then I move on to a solid vowel sound. And if I'm not successful, back into the easier key area. And then work my way back up to that performance key. Now, if I've been successful with that solid vowel, I want to get the vowel from the word that's at the highest point of my phrase in place. Now, I might do the whole phrase on the vowel. I might do a transition where I've got the vowel from the word at the high note. The important thing is to get the right vowel on the right high note. Get the right vowel for the high note. So again, the high note here is road, the word road. So I want an O vowel. Whether or not I do the whole phrase on O kind of depends on how you're doing, actually. If it's a bit borderline, then I might use a vowel sound in the rest of the phrase that's helpful for maintaining focus and maybe facilitates registration event practice more easily so that we have a better chance to get that O correct. So by way of example, and then sing the rest of the phrase with O, or change it. In either case, again, if we're successful, we're going to use the vowels from the phrase. Longer than the road that stretches out ahead. So I'm going to pull all those vowels out of there and sing them with my melody. And again, if I'm not successful, until I'm successful, and then work my way back up to the performance key. And finally, longer than the road that stretches out ahead. Put my phrase together and work on it some more. Again, if I'm not successful, I may have to go through the steps. I've got them labeled A, B, C, D, and E here for part 3. I may have to go through each one of those, going back to step 2, taking A, start with the lip trill, and going back to a comfortable range and working my way up to performance range. B, solid vowel. I may again have to go back and work my way back up to performance range. The important thing is to listen carefully, evaluate whether or not you're really being successful. Are you honoring the registration event? In other words, when you're practicing your technique, are you making good transitions across the secondo passaggio? If that changes when you start to sing the solid vowel, then that needs to be evaluated and worked on. If it then stays good, you can keep on going. But if it changes at any point later on, when you put the lyrics back in, all of a sudden you're not honoring the registration event. You're choosing to belt, whereas before you were making a good registration event with all your other practice. Bust it back down to an easier key, or work specifically with those vowels back and forth across the secondo passaggio so that you don't have the challenge of integrating the consonants into the phrase at the same time, and then put your consonants back in. This is a process. It gets easier and easier. The more that you do it, the more you take yourself through this practice, it just gets better and better. As always, I hope this helps. My name is Jeff. Take really good care of your voices, enjoy singing, and hopefully we'll see you again. Bye.